Hello and welcome back, everyone. What we're going to do next is look specifically at two vertical markets. The first vertical market up will be that of media and entertainment. So to cover this session today, we have Mr. David Feller joining us again. David is our Vice President of Product Management and Solution Engineering. We also have Hossein Ziashakri, who is our Senior Vice President of Business Development and Strategic Alliances. So David and Hossein, I'm going to turn it over to you two.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Hossein. Are you our lead presenter today?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear now that you got that headset on.
Great, thank you. Let me share my screen. So, do you see my screen, or David, are you going to?
I'll advance it for you.
Sure, that would be just fine. Okay. Hello, everybody. It is great to talk with you. It's I hope everybody's safe and healthy these days. What we're going to talk about, as you see today, I'm going to share this presentation with David. You have known SpectraLogic basically for many years. You worked with us for many years, and you've known us as a tape solution provider. We have a large, David, will you move forward with the, you've known us as a tape solution provider because of our longevity. We've been in business for 40 years, and specifically in media and entertainment. It's been about 30 years that we've been in this market. And throughout these years, we've had a very stable business without any outside investment and what have you. And one of the things that have set us apart in this industry really has been our customer-focused culture. We truly have stayed, we view this as a long-term partnership with our customers and all that. And you, as customers, have been a major source of or driving force beyond the innovative culture that we have. And tape will remain a part of our business moving forward, as you guys have seen in earlier sessions this morning. David, will you move forward? And one of the things that we've done over the last number of years, especially 7 or 8 years, a combination of you, the driving force behind our innovation, but also ourselves looking at market trends, technology trends in the state of industry and all that. And we've done tremendous amount of development, and we can say that proudly these days that we can provide end-to-end solutions basically to all of your storage and data management needs, excluding production storage, which we have many partners that we work with. And we're going to stay close with those and make sure they are tightly integrated with our solutions. Of the 40 years, the 30 years that we've been in media and entertainment market, you have been very open and shared with us your objectives. David, if you go to the next one. At that objective being basically to create content in the most efficient way and throughout a whole series of process to monetize those in the most efficient way and all that. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at our portfolio. Tape, obviously, as you've seen, remains a major part of our business, and we will continue to focus on that and innovate on it. But NAS is another thing that we are heavily vested in, and it can be used basically as a standard NAS or ingest platform, or as basically large disk repository of asset. One of the things that we've done over the last number of years, about 5 years ago or so, we introduced Blackpearl. As you know, Blackpearl basically is a multi-tier object storage platform with tight integration with cloud. And Blackpearl was basically, when we look at it, was ahead of its time. And when you look at it through all the integrations that we've done and all that, nowadays it has become the pseudo-standard platform to build a large repository of asset that crosses the boundaries of on-prem, cloud, or mix of the two. And of course, you would expect for this broad portfolio of products that we would also have services and software that would bring all of it together and to create a whole solution. And of course, that is what we've been doing over the last 7 or 8 years, tremendous amount of development on the software and object storage technology front. And what we've done to further take advantage of these to create a whole solution is we've integrated everything that we've developed with our ecosystem partners to maximize the degree of efficiency that we bring to the end users. To create basically automate as much processes as we can to better manage metadata, to create workflow optimizations and stuff like that. But all of these, we can basically mold them into an architectural model that best fits your need, be it on-prem, be it hybrid, or be it cloud, but that's something that we can do. And it's this wholesome view of the whole thing that we can provide, auto lifecycle management and or tiering. And it is this way that we can basically protect and perpetuate your content and relative to its life cycle. And it is critical to be able to do a lot of things in a very automated way relative to the expected performance that you want from it. To give you an example of it, if you are in a sports environment and you are getting into a season, to be able to automatically hydrate your data into a better responsive system like this subsystem, so that your storytellers can spend more time creating stories versus looking for archives. That's what we've done. We provide a lot of tools and reporting to better plan your storage, but also when critical things happen and you have to have really have more control over the processes. To give you an example of that is in a news environment, let's say an event happened in the industry and suddenly you have to have access to or quick access to a set of content, the ability to be able to look into the job queue and find a certain jobs that are requested to bring that content, give it a higher priority to bring that content back, that's huge. Those are the kind of things that we do. And of course, if anything over the last couple of months has shown is that archive and large repositories play a major critical aspect of the on-air operation. And for us, it is critical to be able to get that content from any storage medium or any location that it is, whether it is local or remote or cloud, to bring it in to make sure that you stay on air and always have access to your content. And of course, we bring all of these together in a way that should be measured basically based on a set of success factors. Basically, what degree of efficiency do you bring to the environment in terms of human resources, in terms of automation of automating the processes and or managing your budget? And of course, it has to give you tremendous amount of capability or agility to respond to the market changes as we've seen, especially over the next couple of days. And of course, one last thing is so important that the solution be extensible to future needs, future changes as we've seen it. We no longer have the luxury of rip and replace. So having a solution that is extensible to future needs is a huge part of this whole thing. And that's where the focus of the whole Spectra logic relative to this market has been, to ultimately protect and address your need relative to your major objectives. At this point, I'm going to pass it over to my partner, David, and have him share with you the updates in this area. David?
You bet. So you get a pretty good idea. We've been really working on how we communicate some of the things that we're doing to make your life better and easier in the technology area. But let's spend just a couple moments looking at what are some of the new things. So we've had a lot of really amazing advancements, I'll say, in the last year roughly. And you know how these things work. They're on a cycle based on when's the last time we talked to you. Hopefully we talked to you in person at your place, but worst case, it was probably at one of the trade shows last year. So what have we come up with and what have we launched really in the last year to special tools, special additions to our products that are pretty exciting. So that's what we're going to run through real quick. Really simple. For those of you that aren't intimately familiar, we'll do a real quick review of the Black Pearl interface, this object storage interface that we have. Black Pearl, we call it a converged storage solution. So it's essentially an object storage device that uses an S3-like interface. Remember at the very beginning in the hardware we talked about it, it actually has some extra commands over and above the standard S3 that make it work better with tape. but it's a policy engine that can drop a copy on a variety of different media types. The way that Black Pearl works is almost identical to the way that cloud storage works, whether we're talking about Amazon S3 or Azure or Google. It all works similarly. You use a RESTful interface of some sort to say, here's data that's coming, and you use the same essentially HTTP interface to actually move that data over whatever pipe that you have up into the cloud. Well, it works the same way with Black Pearl. So it's a simple, modern interface. The difference in Black Pearl with other object storage devices that you might have seen is we don't really use a licensing model. It's not a straight capacity model. We charge you by the number of slots that we manage, but not capacity. So we have lots of customers that started with us back in LTO 5 even, and have upgraded to LTO 6 and LTO 7 and LTO 8, and very soon, LTO 9. We don't charge them more for the extra capacity. So they've got a order of magnitude increase in overall capacity, but they're paying the same amount of money because we only charge by what we manage, not the total capacity, which is really exciting. Complete open standard LTFS format. And we've got, you'll see in a minute, a really nice broad ecosystem. We have launched actually an extension to Black Pearl in the last year. We'll show you on the next slide that we call Rio Broker. And one of the main reasons we launched this new interface was to make that throughput that you can get sending things into Black Pearl even better. What we realized was a lot of customers that were doing the integration could make Black Pearl function just fine, but weren't really great at the data movement function of how do I, if I sell you a 3 gigabyte per second, or soon, 8 or 9 gigabyte per second, big B, Black Pearl that's capable of accepting data at that rate, is your software or the software that you've chosen capable of moving data into Black Pearl at that rate? And what we found was quite a large number of software packages were not. So we designed a new data mover interface for Black Pearl that we call Rio Broker. It's really simple. You'll notice, and I'll go back one slide, typically the partner software is responsible for moving data into Black Pearl. So we'll take Avid as an example. Their data mover, they're going back a ways, they call an archive provider. So we were asking that server, it's just a single little 1U server, 1 gig connected, if you're lucky, to push enough data into Black Pearl to really fill it up. Well, that wasn't working well. So we developed this software package called Rio that is a data mover software package in its heart. We'll show you all the other cool things that it's doing, but the methodology of interfacing with it is much simpler. Now the partner software, again, Avid, CatDV, you name it, a MAM, a workflow engine, an orchestrator, whatever it is, it just says now, here's 1 million objects or 1 million files. I want you, Rio, to go grab them from primary storage or some other location, keep track of them all, and move them all into or out of Black Pearl. So it's a job queue and a data mover that just makes life simpler for all of our partners. It also abstracts them from changes that we make in Black Pearl, because they just have a very simple interface. Move 1 million files, get 1 million files, and we take care of it automatically. So that's essentially what Rio provides. So let's dive just a little bit simpler into a little bit more detail into Rio, and I'll show you some of the really cool things that it does. But it is basically a data mover that simplifies the integration and makes things faster at the highest level. So again, we launched this just really in the last year, and I'm expanding on that Rio Broker thing in the middle. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what it does. First of all, let's go to the very bottom thing that kind of surprises people. It is really just an extension of Black Pearl. It is a separate software product, but we designed it specifically to work with Black Pearl. It's not a standalone thing like StoreCycle that you can use just with any type of storage. It's a Black Pearl edition is really what it is. It's free. We actually don't charge customers for this. And by the way, this core function, this data movement function, is the main thing people have been paying literally hundreds of thousands of dollars for with other legacy data mover software packages that have been out there for years. And we said, we think it's kind of silly you have to pay for that function. how about we just give it away for free? So the first instance is free. If you're a really big organization and you need to build a cluster of these and get many, many gigabytes per second by putting the software on multiple servers, there is a fee to make it clusterable. But what we found so far is even in most of the large installations, just one is enough. So it is a scalable data mover. It is in fact a connectivity engine. So we said, here's a million things. I want you to go get them from over there. Well, what does over there mean? Over there can be any connected storage, any primary storage, CIFS, NFS. You'll see network attached storage there. It can be shared storage on a local device. We can actually get things off of an FTP server. We can get things out of the cloud directly, and we can get things out of other object stores, like other things that have S3 interfaces, Cloudian and other things that use S3 as their primary interface. All you got to do is give me the URI and the credentials, or you preset up the endpoint in the case of an FTP, and then you say, hey, well, get 100,000 things off that FTP server and 100,000 things off of that storage and 100,000 things out of the cloud, and I want you to archive them all into Black Pearl, and we just take care of it. So it's kind of anything to anything as long as the end result really is Black Pearl, because it's a Black Pearl extension. The other thing that you should notice there's two other cool things. We have a single namespace engine across Black Pearl and other legacy devices. So those other legacy data movers we can actually use directly as storage resources. Why do we care? It's got a migration engine built in. So we talked about as one of the use cases that it has the capability to move things out of legacy systems like Front Porch, SGL, others, into Black Pearl. Well, while you're in the process of doing that, we bring in Rio. It creates a single namespace, so the end user that's actually accessing the data doesn't even know that migration is going on in the background. If it's in the old stuff, we'll go get it from the old legacy data mover. If it's in Black Pearl, we'll serve it up from there. So it's a very cool system, and we'll show you how migration works in a minute. It also has a partial file recovery engine. Now, this is the one thing we do charge for. It's an add-on to Rio. So you can say, hey, I only want to get, I've got a 3-hour clip of a baseball game. I only want from 5 minutes and 32 seconds to 5 minutes and 43 seconds. So instead of getting a terabyte back, I only need this little section, and I want to tell you what that section is based on time, not the byte offset. We can take care of that with a partial file recovery engine that allows you to do that function. So all of that's built in to Rio and gives you other functionality over and above where Black Pearl does. Let's talk just a little bit about the migration engine itself, because this is really pretty cool. We hinted at it in the use cases before lunch, but I want to show you how it works. So let's focus just on what Rio controls. Of course, we can migrate from any of those other sources, but we really focus on the migration from a legacy data mover into Black Pearl. So let's focus on that just little area. So there's two major ways that we can do migration. Both of them are automated, and we offer this as both a technology and a service through our professional services organization. So first is direct import. So for some systems, we can essentially just adopt those tapes directly. We move them into a tape library that Black Pearl controls, and we adopt them. I do want to pause and say, just for clarity, we are using very specific names for those legacy data movers. For clarity, these are great partners of ours, and they both have exceptional products that we continue to sell with them in partnership, brand new opportunities with all of these things. But as you know, migration is just part of life. For various reasons, customers choose to make a change. All we're doing is providing an engine that makes it very simple. We already make it very simple under Black Pearl for you to move, for instance, to LTO6 to LTO8. You push one button and it handles it for you automatically. So migration is built in. We've just extended that to some other options. If you find yourself in that situation where, for business reason, for cost reason, for whatever, if you find yourself in that situation, we provide a very simple solution to make that happen. So some things we can do direct import, and some things we can do a full data migration where we actually manually or automatically move the data from existing media through Rio Broker onto new media. Well, why might I want to do that? There's lot of good reasons. It could be that your old stuff is on LTO 5 or LTO 6 media. And now LTO 8 is available, soon to be LTO 9. While I'm doing all of this turmoil anyway, let's go ahead and migrate from old media to new media and get a 4 or 8 to 1 size reduction for the given capacity that I have. It's very economical to do that. It could be that you don't have everything indexed for partial file recovery, and you need to move it through a file system and let us index it in that process. Could be you're changing MAMs, could be you're changing editors. There's lots of different reasons, but we have an automatic data migration tool. It's not very sexy name, we call it the Getter, but it's actually part of the Rio Broker ecosystem, and we don't charge for the tool itself, but we'll work with you on professional services costs to help you through that. But we've shown that our system can run up to actually 20 tape drives in parallel, so you can load up 20 tape drives with the old legacy tapes in parallel, read all 20 and write them to, could be as few as 4 or 5, especially if you're going from an older generation tape to a newer one. We can reindex at the same time, and it's a very efficient system. So we're helping quite a few companies worldwide do that, literally as we speak. So very excited about that technology. We did talk a little bit earlier, and I think Hussein's got some comments on this. We have a very broad partner ecosystem. Hussein, do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the new things that are going on here?
Sure. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, Black Pearl has truly become ubiquitous in the industry, basically as the platform of choice to create content repository. And the most important part and reason for it is because it's tightly integrated with so many applications that are out there, from orchestrators to asset management, production asset management. And we've done that, and we've got more of these integrations coming over the next few weeks or so. Grass Valley is basically is already and ready to be announced, and Delete is another one that's coming. Abaco and Route 6, those are the other ones. So pretty much with those, then we are done with all the integration with every popular application that is out there. And that's what has made this very popular, because we can enable so many different workflows.
And we normally have a policy where we wait until everything is fully certified before we do an announcement. But there are some really, really exciting partners that are right at the tail end. They're just about to finish our full certification program to work with the Black Pearl and the Rio infrastructure. You see 5 of them down here from Route 6, a great kind of orchestrator, workflow engine management. Ayala, Abaco, Delete and Grass Valley are just huge. I think of all of the vendors that we have, those 2 are extremely pervasive, and we hear them all the time. Oh, as soon as you get a Delete integration, we'll come find you, because Black Pearl is exactly what you need. Grass Valley is just one of those just household names. If you're in the media and entertainment industry, they've been around a long time and have an absolutely incredible product. Very prevalent in news and sports. So we've got a really amazing integration. That was one of the hardest ones we've ever done. They're very FTP-centric, the way that they move data in and out. So it turns out, as you saw in the previous one with Rio that has that FTP capability, all of a sudden now we have the capability to integrate directly with Grass Valley. It's a joint development actually between us and Grass Valley to make that happen. And we're really excited about those 2. So we thought we'd show you real quick, and I know we're running low on time. So, okay, all of these things, what does a small, medium, and large installation actually look like, and what kind of hardware is typically used? Well, let's start with a relatively small installation. So no middleware is required generally. Most asset managers that are out there now that we have, especially now that we have Delete and Grass Valley and Abaco and others coming, have a direct integration with Black Pearl. So they understand the concept of archiving and can archive things directly. The beauty here is you don't even necessarily need to start with tape. We've got an incredible growing business that is really focused around just straight object storage disk as a second tier to offload my production storage, whatever it may be. And so we're selling a tremendous amount that's, hey, it's just Black Pearl with object storage disk behind it. You can obviously add a tape library at any time. You can either even do it later, a year later, and go, okay, it's time. We've got enough money behind us. We want to make that extra copy. You add that to the policy, and Black Pearl will happily in the background at lower priority start making that tape copy for you, even retroactively. So beautiful technology there. It also has direct integration with the cloud, and we talked earlier about how we now save to the cloud that's in the actual object name format, so you can utilize direct cloud-based services in cooperation with the way that Black Pearl is archiving things to the cloud. So that's really exciting. Let's bump up to a medium-sized deployment model, a little bit bigger. As we get bigger, we might need bigger, higher speeds to go from maybe a few hundred megabytes per second. Maybe I need to go to a gigabyte per second or more. When I get there, I very likely need a bigger Black Pearl with a faster cache. I might need to go to a cluster of RIOs that actually can shove data in and out of a Black Pearl very efficiently. And in fact, once I've added that tape library, you'll notice an option there down at the bottom. It shows either fiber or Ethernet. Now, Matt introduced you before to the Swarm product, but that's very applicable as well in media and entertainment if you want to get rid of fiber channels. So really great options there. And again, just a gentle reminder, Swarm is a new technology that allows you, instead of having to run fiber channel between whatever servers you're using or between Black Pearl and the library, you can actually just run Ethernet and then locally run SAS from what amounts to a top of rack switch that converts from Ethernet down into SAS. Now let's look real quick at a larger enterprise deployment. We showed you one of these in the use cases where they have multiple Black Pearls that have high availability failover between them. We use a RIO cluster to get maximum speed. So it's about business continuity. It gives me failover capability. It gives me very high speeds, and it gives me really great direct interaction if I need to make a DR copy, for instance, to a second location. So all of that's built in, as well as you always get the public cloud access and the ability to synchronize what's going on in the cloud with what's going on in your local object store. So all those are great installations. Black Pearl never leaves you behind. You can start small, add failover capability, add faster speed, add clustering, and it just grows with you as you grow your particular business.
Hey, David, can I just make a quick comment? I just wanted to share, the way we've done the synchronization with cloud, when we put content in the cloud natively, that could be part of DR, that could be cloud-based workflows, or it could simply be part of the business continuity planning. So it's a very capable, powerful feature. So.
Absolutely. So we're running a little on time, so I'm going to just give you this one last interesting thing. We've talked before. You saw this morning one of our software products. I'll talk about specifically how that's used in media and entertainment. Of course, in this space, generally MAMs are used, the Media Access Manager, to manage all of my digital assets. They control videos and audio and sequences. It helps keep the primary storage clean. That's great. What about everything else? What about original raw content that may be literally sitting on the floor on USB connected hard drives? Maybe there's graphics from your marketing department, or if you're a sports team and you've got all of the scoreboard graphics, what do you do with all that? MAMs don't generally manage that. That, what we call unmanaged content, is absolutely prime, and is really, the big takeoff here is StoreCycle is the thing, that software package, that can manage all of that unmanaged content. So we showed you all the benefits of StoreCycle before, but think about it in this context. All of those directories and structures on primary storage that aren't directly managed by primary storage for all that other stuff, great place to point StoreCycle. You can either do it as a project. Hey, I'm finished editing this sequence or this big movie project. Well, I can move everything off as a whole. I can actually set up what amounts to watch folders that get scanned every night, and then move the things off that are in those watch folders. And then once it's there, it's fully protected within the Black Pearl ecosystem. So we're really excited about this as an addition to the managed data that is controlled by things like a MAM. Very simple, and again, we're not going to go through the details, but we give you not just the ability to let users access that unmanaged data directly, but it's a project-based archive that you can add metadata to so that you can go find it. You can actually relate your managed data in the MAM to the unmanaged data that's in StoreCycle. So we showed you this at the beginning. It really does tell the whole story of Rio Broker is a new extension to Black Pearl that provides a much faster, much simpler interface for managed data and provides a migration engine. StoreCycle, the addition of that into the portfolio allows you to manage unmanaged data, all those other things, but use the same storage infrastructure that you would have used. So you don't have to invest in new storage to do that. We just connect up to the same Black Pearl that you've already used. So I know we're a little bit over time. Hossein, any parting comments before we turn it over to the not as exciting HPC?
No, you did a great job. The final thoughts are here. Basically, this diagram ultimately shows whether it is assets that are managed, whether it is in production at the enterprise level or so, or whether it is unmanaged, that we can really truly bring all aspects of or tools for you to best manage your data, your assets. So this picture tells it all.
Okay, great job, guys. And even though we are close on time, I do want to get just two quick questions in. We've had several written in. Again, if we can't get to your question live, we will respond directly. First question, can we virtualize Black Pearl for multi-tenant setup?
Ooh, excellent question. Yeah, so we're working on that. We actually have a Black Pearl simulator that we give to our partners to test their software against. We have that running now in a virtual environment. We actually have it running up on Google Cloud and up on Amazon Cloud, and we're working on trying to figure out how to give you an entire Black Pearl that'll do that functionality. So it's not available yet, but it is something that is important to us and coming.
So the other aspects of that question is the element of multi-tenancy. Black Pearl is by design a multi-tenant device. In fact, we have a number of customers who share Black Pearl among, in one customer case, about 7 different applications that are shared in the content centrally. And then you can choose to share certain data with the particular applications and others do not. So you have a lot of capabilities and flexibility doing that.
Okay, another question that was written in a little earlier. Black Pearl is a data mover as it was projected earlier, and Rio Broker does the same with some more functionality. How do we place them in the working scenario? So David, maybe you could talk a little bit about Rio Broker kind of on the front end and Black Pearl on the back end and data movement, and how do you differentiate between those two?
Really simple. So Black Pearl, we didn't really go into the core functionality. What it has is a relatively large cache, and it's really the cache that is the expense of the whole unit. And what is different between the different Black Pearls, from the 250 megabyte version all the way up to the 8 gigabyte per second version, you buy bigger, faster cache, all the way from just a few 4 terabyte drives all the way up to mirrored NVMEs that give you crazy fast speed. The way Black Pearl works is you drop something on it through the S3 interface, and then it applies a policy. Well, the policy may be make 2 copies on tape and a copy on disk, copy in the cloud. It holds it in cache until it makes all of those copies. So it is a data mover in that idea, where once you've dropped something on it, it will move things off to the various copies. But it's essentially a catcher. It's just sitting there waiting for somebody to send it something through that S3 interface. Rio is an active thing. It's you tell it, here's 1 million files, they're over there, I want you to move them over into Black Pearl, and it keeps track of them and shoves them into Black Pearl as efficiently as it can. A lot of parallel streams, a lot of parallel servers if you need it to fill that cache up, and then Black Pearl makes the copies. So they work together very well to make your system just simple.
Okay, fantastic. All right, we are going to stop there.